looking for a place to ride your horses or build your chickens that big new chicken coop?
Are you looking for a nice place to open up that family business you've been dreaming of?
Or are you looking for that forever home for your growing family? Well, whatever you're looking for, Vista Real Estate can cover absolutely all of your real estate needs, whether it be farm and ranch, residential, or commercial. With years of real estate experience, you can trust Lisa Dibble and Jeff Crawford to help you find that perfect fit.
You can check out their inventory online at viewvistashomes.com.
Give their office a call at 512-564-5066.
Or just go and talk to Lisa and Jeff at 414 South Live Oak, right here in Lampasas. They might be new to the square, but they're longtime Lampasas native. Vista Real Estate, downtown on the square.
Well, good morning and welcome to our studio. City Manager Finley DeGraff and Reed want to talk, I guess, first of all, about the most recent City Council meeting just a couple of days ago. One of the things that I think you talked about in the workshop session was a portion of Highway 281 getting a no parking ruling. What's the purpose?
Right.
We're
What's
talking
happening?
about?
Of course, we've had more activity on South 281. This is basically from the Hostess House south, just about to the county line. But because of the recent activity and the number of patrons that have been attracted to events out there, a lot of folks have been parking on 281. Right, just pulling off the road and parking there. And so this is a way to manage that safety concern and let folks know that, hey, park in a designated parking area. I think Putters and Gutters does have a shuttle service, and they can get you to and from their venue. But it's been identified as a real safety concern, particularly when people are loading and unloading on 281 if they're just pulled over on the side of the road.
I wasn't aware that people were parking up there. I didn't have any idea. It doesn't seem to me that there would be that much shoulder. I guess there is.
There really isn't, and that's one of the issues. And so I think Chief Bailey has come up with an ordinance for council to look at, and of course they did pass that ordinance. So on second reading, we'll be able to post that and start enforcing it.
Put signs up and issue a ticket or two.
Yes,
and
yes.
Probably stop the problem or cure some of it. Couple of other things. Some issue about approving something called microblading in a spa here.
Right.
I really don't know what it is, but I'm kind of interested in why that requires city council approval.
Sure. This is one, and again, I don't know that I can describe it any better than you can. Probably need my wife to come in and describe it. But there are new techniques that are being used in terms of even tattooing eyeliner and microblading, and this is one of the things that has happened since our zoning regs have been written. As you recall, we had to define vape not too long ago because that didn't exist at the point in time that our zoning regs were written. So this is another area that we feel we probably went a little bit overboard in terms of going ahead and making them do this, but we did not have a definition for it. It generally could be considered tattooing, but it's basically just another service that you can receive at a hair care or nail care spa.
But the question in my mind, you don't require an ordinance to dye someone's hair or get a haircut or something. Where do you draw the line?
Yeah, I think the tipping point was it could be considered, particularly on the eyelining, it could be considered tattooing, which has to have an SUP. So what we need to do is either issue an SUP for this specific type of use of the business, or we need to go in and change the definition, which we'll probably end up doing as well.
Okay. Kind of interesting. So many changes have been made to our list of ordinances.
Oh, absolutely.
To our rules and land passes. This must be getting to be a voluminous
Right.
document.
And it's like I said, there are things going on now that aren't defined because they didn't
Yeah.
exist at the time of the ordinance being written.
Oh, well, that's kind of interesting. Okay. What was in basically your report? I think one of the more interesting parts of any city council meeting is whenever you just give a general report to the council. So kind of give us
Sure.
an overview of what was in that.
And as you said, I usually provide council a very brief report that has, anywhere from 6 to a dozen items on it that are just either points of information or updates. And a couple of things that we updated council on this past Monday is we reported to them about the recent WCID meeting. The WCID is the group that is responsible for the upkeep and care of our flood control dams.
Yes.
And discussed with council the recent rain events we've had and how those dams have held up. And the bottom line is we reported to council that the dams did their job. In some places in the county they received up to 17, 18 inches of rain in a 4 to 5 day period.
To your knowledge, did any of them reach spillway?
They
level?
they reach the primary spillway level, which is what they're supposed to do.
Right.
But only those dams kind of on the western side of the area. So the dams, as they got closer to the city, did not even get up to the spillway level. So the dams did their job with a significant amount of rain. We also reported to them on the progress of the comprehensive plan. We had some small group meetings on that as an update and tried to review some of the recommendations. We reported to them that we'd received a rebate on our 2019 health care plan as a result of our claims being better than our premiums. Gave an update on LAFTA and the skate park at Campbell Park and how that project is progressing, and talked a little bit about the library. And there's some, just for the listeners, there's some great things happening at the library, and they're continuing to provide services and programs, over the internet, virtually, as well as there with some restrictions or some limitations. People can come into the library, so we don't have as many computers available. You'll have to sign in and make an appointment. But if you need to come in and look at books and check out books, the library is open for business. And also gave a brief report on the recent EDC meeting.
Okay. You mentioned the skate park, and I want to regress just a little bit back to that. That's in Campbell Park, and there's large parts of that. That is owned by the city of Lampasas.
Correct.
And so ultimate responsibility, ultimate ownership, everything of that does go back to the city council.
Correct.
Okay. And beneath that level of ownership, the city council, the city has always more or less allowed LAFTA to control, or at least in an advisory kind of way, control all of that.
Well,
does that still remain in place in spite of the fact that we're adding a public garden and
yeah,
stuff?
absolutely. We, they have made a tremendous investment in that park in terms of the sculpture garden. I think one number that I heard is over $300,000 worth of artwork has come and gone and remained since they started their program. So we consider them a vital stakeholder. They don't have ultimate say-so, but I guarantee you that if anything is being done at Campbell Park, they're the first. We pick up the phone and they're the first people we call. And how does this fit in with your plan? We also know that sculpture garden is one of the top hits on TripAdvisor when you pull up Lampasas. That's one of the things to see. I think it's also been some great synergy between what's going on at Cooper Spring and possibility of a link with downtown. So when we start talking about community parks and pavilions and skate parks, we get those stakeholders in the front row.
Okay. Uh, so it comes to mind to me that with the addition of the public garden, and more especially the skate park, because that's going to involve a lot of youth, I
Right.
guess, usage and visitation, the LAFTA folks are probably most concerned about the integrity of an art park.
Sure.
And just wondering if how, at least in your mind, this is going to work.
Right. So, and just to give you the background on it, I bet you for the past 2 months we've had off and on meetings with LAFTA as well as the Wings of Eagle Outreach, who's in support of the skate park, with council, with individuals. So we've probably met half a dozen times over the last 2 months with those groups together, with those groups individually. We've met at the park, I know of at least 3 or 4 times. We've met in chambers a couple of times just to have a roundtable discussion on what the expectations or what the thoughts were. So certainly they've been involved from day one, all those groups.
You feel like there's going to be an
Yes,
kind of
absolutely.
synergy there.
Absolutely, and I think that there's the opportunity for it, perhaps some artwork to be done in and around the skate park, as well as get some buy-in from the folks involved with Wings of Eagle Outreach in terms of their kids and their youth being involved in art projects. So they're certainly very optimistic and excited about the co-location.
Okay. Over in the east part of Lampasas, manufactured home overlay. Tell us what this means.
That was, I believe, a fairly isolated request. So someone can come in and ask for a manufactured home to be put on their property, which is the case here. It does require an overlay zoning, so that's one thing that the Planning Commission considered and the council ultimately approved.
Is it difficult to manage this exactly with the idea that you've got people that want to live in motorhomes, maybe,
Right.
and that would say it's my property, I ought to be able to
Absolutely.
put whatever I want to on it, and then you've got double wides and triple wides and stuff, but beyond that you even have manufactured housing that's a house,
Right.
that you can move in. So is this a difficult thing sometimes to determine?
And I think what we talked about previously is the case in this situation. The quality and the construction types that fall under the label of manufactured have improved vastly. There's still folks that a double wide or a single wide is what they can afford and what housing they want, but manufactured housing comes in all shapes and sizes anymore. So I think there is room for improvement. There's room for clarifying some of those definitions, but in this case it required an SUP, or it required a zoning action.
We'll be right back.
Rudd Fencing is your leader in the fencing industry. They can handle any size job, large or small, commercial or residential, any size farm or ranch, privacy fences, gate openers, cattle guards. They'll complete your entryway from the ground up, including any wrought iron work that you're wanting to get done, and you don't pay until the job is done to your satisfaction. They use the highest quality materials and products, customizing them specifically to fit your needs. Their designers will meet you on your property and discuss what you're looking for. Call them today, 254-458-2128 to get your free estimate. You can also check them out online at rutfencing.com.
Okay, the couple other things that I want to go over that took place in a council meeting. Lampasas County Chamber of Commerce comes in for funding, and that funding comes from the public till, sort of. So
Right.
Explain that.
Sure. So they came in regarding not only a third quarter report, which they by contract are required to do, provide us a quarterly report of the activity, the number of visits, their expenses over that quarter, et cetera. So they came in and did that, and then they also discussed the visitor center tourism contract that the city has with them. And just to clarify on the funding, council actually approved their budget July 27th. So the funding was in place. Now it was just a question: is there anything else that we need to modify in the agreement? And one of the big things that they decided to change was, rather than a quarterly report, do it twice